"You're just a filthy mechanic," laughed Mr. Kessler, brushing his Rolex under the fluorescent light. "My engineering graduate son will replace you. You're done here." That was the last thing I heard before the door slammed behind me, and the shop I built from oil-stained dreams turned to silence. 3 years of loyalty, thrown out like grease on the floor. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just tightened my grip on the wrench still in my pocket. Then came the call. Unknown number. Thick Italian accent. "We'd like to speak with your chief engineer. Is this Mara Devlin?" "My name is Mara. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the underdog rewrites the blueprints of power?" I built engines by feel before I learned to spell torque. I whispered to machines when people laughed at me. But talent doesn't need permission. And neither does vengeance. The Ferrari squad didn't ask where I went to school. They asked for my designs. My sound. My fire. I sent them my prototype. 2 days later, a jet black courier car showed up at my doorstep. Inside was a contract and a red racing suit with my name stitched in gold thread. Kessler said I was replaceable, but he didn't know I was already building my legacy in silence. I didn't post about it. Didn't gloat. I let my silence become a roar. But this wasn't just about engines. This was about pride. And I wasn't done. Because the next time Kessler saw my name, it would be engraved on something faster than his ego. Kessler's son, Adam, strutted into the shop like he owned horsepower. Fresh out of college. 0 hands-on hours. But his LinkedIn said automotive innovator, so they handed him my bay. He didn't even know the difference between a torque wrench and a breaker bar. I watched from across the street, sipping gas station coffee. The kind he once banned me from bringing near his showroom aesthetic. Adam stripped the thread on a $10,000 intake manifold within the week. Word spread. Clients started whispering. Porsche. Bentley. Even that guy with the limited edition Veyron. One by one, they disappeared. To where? To me. But not under my name, not yet. I worked out of an old airplane hangar. No signs. No fancy lobby. Just passion and steel. Every repair, every engine I touched, I tuned like a symphony. Customers didn't just leave satisfied. They left breathless. And then came the video. A client posted a reel. My Ferrari was dead. 3 dealerships failed. Then she touched it. Listen to her engine now. The sound tore through the internet. Smooth, guttural, pure perfection. Overnight, the clip hit 6.2 million views. And in the background, my coveralls were visible. Just enough. No name. But my hands. My work. The world started asking, who is she? And Kessler? He started sweating. Because Adam had no answers. No skill. No soul. While I was becoming a ghost story whispered in elite garages. The woman who could bring dead engines to life. The mechanic no dealership could match. The revenge wasn't loud. Not yet. But it was coming, revving in the shadows. Because the race was just beginning. And I had built the fastest machine they'd ever seen. From scratch. The first time Kessler called me, he didn't even say hello. Is it you? His voice cracked like cold metal. I didn't answer. I let the silence throttle him. He tried again. Look, we had our differences, Mara. Maybe we moved too fast replacing you. But listen, maybe there's a way back. A way back? Back to that moldy locker room with no air conditioning? Back to being called sweetheart by clients I knew more than? I almost laughed. But I didn't. I just ended the call and let that sound haunt him. Days later, I got another call. Not from Kessler. From a producer at Velocity Network. We saw the reel. We want you on a docu-series, Queen of Torque. I said no. Not yet. Because this wasn't about fame. This was about precision. Justice. Poetry written in pistons. Instead, I went for something better, subtle sabotage. There was a client, Derek Vaughn. Tech billionaire. Owns 12 rare hypercars. He used to go to Kessler's. Now, he asked me to retrofit his Pagani. I told him, drop it off at your usual spot. I'll send my guy. My guy, Jalen, wore Kessler Auto's old jacket as a joke, walked in like a ghost from the past. They didn't even recognize him until the Pagani roared out of the bay, clean, faster than it ever was. With a small note on the dash, "She fixed what you never could." The client left a 5-star Yelp review. Under Kessler's page, Kessler tried to sue, but there was no logo, no name, no proof, just excellence. And now, the waiting list to work with me? 6 months. Even Ferrari had to wait. The legend was growing, but I wasn't done yet. I still had one more thing to take back. My dignity? Already restored. Now it was time to take his crown. The invitation came in a sleek black envelope. Gold lettering. Embossed seal. Redline International. Invitational Engineering Duel. $250,000 prize. Winner earns a contract with 5 elite brands. Loser? Public humiliation. Kessler entered Adam. Of course he did. He still believed bloodlines could beat brilliance, that degrees could outdo grit. But when they announced the second name, the crowd shifted. Phones came out. Mara Devlin. I walked onto that stage in the same boots I wore when he fired me. Oil stains still kissed the soles. Adam looked like he'd seen a ghost. Kessler's jaw clenched so hard, I heard it. They didn't know I was coming. Ferrari did. They were sponsoring me. Quietly. Proudly. The rules were simple. Design, build, and optimize a supercar engine within 36 hours. On site. Live. No teams. No help. Just bare hands, raw parts, and engineering under fire. Adam wore gloves. I didn't. He Googled torque specs. I felt them. While he panicked over misaligned cylinders, I carved airflow like a sculptor. My machine didn't just purr, it sang. By hour 35, Adam was crying behind a privacy screen. A piston had shattered. Wrong measurements. Meanwhile, my engine sat flawless, humming with fury. And Kessler? He paced the sidelines like a banker watching Wall Street burn. When the clock hit 0, the judges fired both engines. Adam sputtered, then coughed, then died. Mine? The RPM redlined. Perfect cadence. 0 vibration. The judges didn't even deliberate. They handed me the trophy and 5 handshakes. Flashbulbs exploded. Reporters swarmed. Who is she? What's your story? I turned to Kessler, lifted the trophy, and said calmly, I'm just a mechanic. Remember? The crowd roared. But I wasn't smiling for them. I was smiling because the blueprint for my revenge had just come full circle. And the man who called me filthy was now standing in the shadow of a queen made of steel. Kessler didn't show up to the press conference. But Adam did, red-eyed, trembling, suit wrinkled like a kid sent to the principal's office. He tried to smile when asked, what was it like competing with the Mara Devlin? He muttered something about pressure, then said, she probably had help. I almost pitied him. Almost. But lies were their family legacy, and I was done forgiving dynasties built on delusion. By that night, the headlines were everywhere. From mechanic to mastermind, the rise of Mara Devlin. Queen of torque leaves Ivy League engineers in dust. Kessler Auto's Yelp rating plummeted. Clients canceled. One of their luxury sponsors pulled out publicly. Then came the email. Subject line. I owe you an apology. From Kessler. A paragraph of awkward flattery, coughed out through pride. At the end, he wrote, would you consider coming back as our lead consultant? I replied with one sentence. I don't consult for liars. Then I hit delete. But I wasn't done. Because legacy isn't just won on racetracks. It's built in the communities you rise from. So I opened my own shop. Devlin Dynamics. State of the art. Half my crew? Former dropouts, overlooked kids who reminded me of me. The other half? Women engineers who were tired of being interrupted mid-sentence. We didn't just fix cars. We created art. We trained minds. We rewrote the rules. And we did it under one banner. Earn it. Or burn out trying. Meanwhile, Kessler Auto filed for bankruptcy protection. Word got out. They sold off their flagship store. Adam? moved to Nevada, teaches Intro to Auto Theory online. And Kessler himself? Rumor is he still drives by my shop sometimes. Windows up, head low. Good. Let him hear the engines purring. Let him wonder who tuned them. Let him remember what he lost, not just in staff, but in soul. Because real power isn't passed down. It's forged, one spark at a time. One afternoon, a silver McLaren slid into my lot. Not flashy, purposeful. Out stepped a man in loafers worth more than my first car. He didn't smile, didn't blink. "I'm with Apex Motorsports," he said. "We're building something revolutionary. We want you." I stared at the car, listened to its idle, and nodded once. We shook hands. And just like that, I stepped into a war the public would never see. Formula circuits, prototype labs, secret wind tunnels carved into desert rock. And me, the only woman in every room again. But this time, they didn't call me girl. They called me chief. While Kessler was quietly selling off his third boat, I was blueprinting electric hyperdrive systems for a concept car codenamed Phantom. The goal? 0 to 60 in under 1.7 seconds. And silent. Dead silent. No growl. No echo. Just power. I obsessed over it. Day and night. The sound of silence. The shape of speed. When the car launched, Top Gear called it a ghost on wheels. Wired called me Detroit's Da Vinci. But the best headline? Former mechanic builds the future of speed. I framed that one. And just when I thought the story had settled, I got the letter. Typed. Formal. From Kessler's legal team. You are formally invited to a mediation regarding potential brand confusion between Kessler Engineering and Devlin Dynamics. Brand confusion? He thought I was stealing his spotlight. But in truth, I had become the sun. And he was burning in it. Still, I accepted. Not to mediate, but to end it. Face to face. I wore the same jacket I'd worn when I first tuned AV8 in his shop. Same patches. Same oil stains. Kessler didn't speak when I walked in. Didn't blink either. I leaned across the table and said quietly, "You can keep your brand. I already have your legacy." And then I slid a photo across the table. His original shop now under a new sign. Devlin Dynamics, Downtown Division. I had bought it 2 weeks prior. Cash. The old shop still smelled like burnt rubber and cheap ego. But it was mine now. Every corner I'd been mocked in, every tool I was told not to touch, now bore my name, etched into chrome plaques and stainless steel panels. I didn't renovate it. I preserved it, like a fossil of arrogance turned artifact. I held a reopening event. Didn't send invites. Didn't need to. People came. Former clients. Street racers. Engineers. Even that YouTube mechanic who once dismissed me as just another pretty face in coveralls. They all showed up. And they all saw the plaque bolted to the entry wall. To every girl told she wasn't strong enough to hold a wrench, "You were built for this." Reporters took photos. The city posted a feature. The comments? Flooded. That's the same place that fired her, right? Poetic justice on wheels. She didn't burn it down, she bought it out. Kessler didn't come. But I knew he saw it. He could not. 2 days later, a delivery van pulled up to Devlin Dynamics. Inside, a large wooden crate. No note. No name. We pried it open. It was a trophy. The one I won at Redline International. The one that vanished after the award night. At the bottom was a folded receipt from a pawn shop in Nevada. I laughed. Adam had sold it. Probably for rent money. I mounted it on the wall in the front office. Underneath it, I had a new plaque made. Legacy isn't inherited. It's earned. That night, I closed up the shop myself. No assistants. No cameras. Just me. And for the first time in years, I walked the floor in silence. No one yelling. No tools being snatched from my hands. Just the low hum of machines breathing like sleeping giants. I stood there, hands in my pockets, staring at what I built. Not for revenge. Not anymore. But for every future Mara who just needed a chance. Months later, I stood backstage at the Detroit Automotive Summit. The theme, Future Titans of Engineering. And somehow, I was the keynote speaker. Funny. Once, they wouldn't let me park in their lot. Now I was on their stage. I stepped up to the podium. The lights hit. The room hushed. I didn't speak about revenge. I spoke about resurrection. About how some engines stall, but if you understand the system deep enough, you can bring anything back. Even yourself. When I finished, they stood. Applause roared. But I only looked at one seat, row 3, aisle. Empty. Reserved. Kessler. He never showed. But later, in the parking lot, I saw the car. A dusty 2007 Aston Martin. The one he used to brag about. Inside it, a folded envelope. I opened it. Just 3 words in shaky pen. You won. K. I didn't cry. Didn't smile. I just tucked it into my glove box, next to my first spark plug, and drove home. Not fast, but steady. Because I wasn't running anymore. Wasn't proving anything anymore. I had built something no one could take. A future paved in steel and second chances. Every turn of the wrench, every dropped bolt, every insult carved into my back, it all led here. So when they ask what happened to the filthy mechanic Kessler threw out, tell them this. She tuned her pain into performance. And every man who doubted her now drives something she built.